Hi everybody, this is Property with Leonard and welcome to another episode. Now on this channel, as you know, we discuss property, finance and investments. Now please note that none of my videos constitutes as financial advice, but if you're looking for financial advice, please speak to an accredited and registered financial advisor. Now just a disclaimer before we start. If you are a regular viewer to my channel, you would know the voice sounds a little bit different today. I have a blocked nose, but as you know, as they say in show business, the show must go on. One of the most frequently asked questions when it comes to property investments, specifically if it involves renting out property, is how to avoid falling victim to rental fraud. In essence, how to avoid bad tenants. And with the residential rental sector showing real signs of renewal, that really prompted me to record this episode and share some insights with you. Now, from a personal experience, there are good tenants and bad tenants. The ones who wreck and destroy your property, who simply don't care. They don't pay, they don't want to vacate either, they take no responsibility. They are a nightmare to deal with. And you have to spend thousands of rands and a lot of time and effort to get rid of them. And I'm referring to, of course, eviction orders and the like. So today I would like to talk about and share with you how you can avoid falling victim to rental fraud, how you can avoid these tenants from hell. Renting out a property for the first time can be daunting. Even seasoned landlords, they can fall victim to rental fraud if the right checks and balances aren't in place. The one tangible fraud that a landlord may experience is when a potential tenant, when they deliberately misrepresents themselves financially, that is, with the view of moving into a property and then not paying rental. Now this of course is a worst case scenario, and trust me when I say that this is something that you as the potential landlord would want to prevent at all costs. Let me just make this clear from the get-go. You should be very careful of tenants offering to pay a few months rental up front and then the balance monthly, because this is also a potential opportunity for fraud. Often that is the only money you would ever receive, and tenants are fully aware that, you know, the law by default favors them over the landlord. There might be one or two of you watching thinking that I am a bit prejudgmental here or harsh. Well, this is based on my personal experience in the industry and my personal experience as a landlord. In fact, these are reasons why in my business we don't do rentals. And I mean, I'm not saying that rentals is not good business. I think it is great business. I just don't have the time and the patience and the energy for it anymore. I just don't. I got my fingers burned and I have no desire to walk down that path again. Just to be clear, yes, I do make use of the services of rental agents, and that's what I would suggest that you do as well. I just don't want to do it myself, because you need to be available 24/7, and in essence your reputation is at stake. By that I mean, if you're a rental agent and the tenant turns out to be a non-payer, someone who checked out perfectly, but turned out to be a nightmare, as I just described to you, because you as the agent would be blamed whether you like it or not, whether it's fair or not, you would be blamed. That said, it is important to be able to read between the lines when assessing a rental application. As I alluded to earlier, there is a value in using a reputable estate agency that has experience and expertise in assessing tenants beyond what you see on paper. Rental agencies use credit bureaus and the tenant profile network, or the TPN, to evaluate potential tenants with, of course, the permission of the tenant as required by POPIA. And most agencies are listed on the TPN. This is where tenant-specific profiles linked to rental payments are created so that agents can access data to see if they have been flagged for non or erratic payment. And rental agents talk to each other, of course, and will warn each other of bad tenants. That's why I would highly recommend that you use a rental agent who have access to this information. And in addition, credit bureaus and a tenant profile network also links to their payment profile on other loans, such as clothing accounts, credit cards, car repayments, etc. These things are pretty straightforward, but it's good that obviously I mention it to you and that you are aware of it. Just think about it. This will give you a very good and holistic view of the person's financial character, because a credit score is allocated to them based on their previous payment history. But very importantly, the vetting process should not stop there. It is vital to directly appraise employer and salary records and speak to the references provided. Don't just take everything on face value. You should do this to fully ascertain the caliber of tenant, because a good paying tenant that does not look after your asset can also cost you dearly. This does not guarantee, of course, a good tenant, but it will most definitely increase your chances of getting a good tenant. You also need to understand that even if the agent did all the possible checks and balances, even if they did that, the risk of the tenant turning out to be bad are always there. I've mentioned in previous videos that I've had tenants before that, even though the contract, the rental agreement that is, made provision for a 10% annual increase in the rental, I seldom, or at least not every year, made the adjustment by increasing the rent by 10%. And the main reason was, when you have a good tenant, you are so grateful. You look after them as they look after your investment, your asset. There are most definitely good tenants out there. There are. I want to go as far as to say that the overwhelming majority are good. But those bad apples, they give you gray hairs and high blood pressure unnecessarily. They are the ones costing you money, wasting your time, the ones you want to avoid at all costs. And that is why, if you want to better your chances of getting a good tenant, what you should do is ensure that your potential tenant have a good credit report, sufficient affordability, and good references. Those things are absolutely non-negotiable. And you using a reputable agency, it will minimize the risk of falling victim to fraudsters, loss of rental, and the unpleasant experience and costs associated with trying to evict a defaulting tenant. When you are making use of the rental agency, the onus is on them to make sure that the documents are authentic, because there are incidents of fraudsters sending through falsified bank statements, payslips, IDs, as well as proof of payments. It gets messy. And for the untrained eye or the inexperienced landlord, it can be costly. Rental agents will charge you a 10% fee on the total rental income. Now, for instance, if you rent out a property for 10,000 Rand, the rental agent will get a 1,000 Rand, which you might think is a lot or it's too much. Although, it is a lot, but personally, I'd much rather pay that and have no stress of having to manage everything myself. But yes, I've been there where you are, thinking, well, for 1,000 Rand saving, I can do this myself. I know the industry, I know how things work. Well, I'm telling you that I made use of a rental agent, and that's it. And while I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about electronic interception of information scams that are on the increase everywhere, and you should be careful. You should be aware of it. You watching might be a current landlord or planning on starting a property portfolio with the aim of renting out your units, and even if you are going to make use of a rental agent or property manager to manage your portfolio, it's good that you are aware of these things that I'm sharing with you here. And as an added safeguard, I would advise that the tenant only be allowed to move into the property once the deposit and the first month's rental is not just paid, but physically reflecting in your bank account. The lesson here is, do not rely on proof of payment being sent through, as it is very easy for fraudsters to produce false proof of payments as well. But I bet you know that by now. Just in conclusion, if the information that I shared with you today are a bit overwhelming, then perhaps you should consider using a rental agent to do this for you to manage your affairs. I always say that property is not a get rich quick scheme. It's not. And yes, you can make money, you can make good money. But remember, very importantly, high-risk investments may offer the chance of higher returns than other investments might produce, but they put your money at higher risk. I'm not saying this, don't do it. I'm saying to you, do your checks and balances. Be prepared and don't take anything at face value. Thank you so much, everybody, for once again joining me on today's episode. I hope that the blocked nose was not a distraction to you today, but nevertheless, I hope that you found value in this episode. And if it was of value to you, can I kindly ask you, if you haven't, to please subscribe to my channel, to like this video, and to share it, and leave me a comment in the comment section below. And yes, as you know by now, subscribing, two things. Firstly, it is absolutely free, doesn't cost you a cent. And secondly, it is really easy. You can just click that subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, and please remember to hit the all notifications, and that way you will be notified and you won't miss out whenever I upload new videos. Thank you so much, everybody. I can't wait to blow my nose now, but I will see you in the next episode. Stay blessed.